I'll go ahead and jump in and let us introduce ourselves. My name is Pete Breton. I'm the VP of Product Strategy at NinjaOne, and I am super excited to be joined today by Michael Moore, the CIO of Carahsoft. Michael, would love to have you introduce yourself.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Michael Moore. I'm CIO of Carahsoft, and I'll first say a few things about Carahsoft if you're not familiar with us. Carahsoft is a government IT solutions provider. We're working with all levels of the government, state, local, federal, DoD, healthcare, and more. And what we do is we connect the public sector with the best technology vendors in the industry, the best hardware and software. One of those vendors is NinjaOne. However, I was a NinjaOne customer before we were partners with NinjaOne, and today we'll be talking about that relationship. It's me as a customer. About a little bit about me. I'm the CIO of Carahsoft, as I mentioned. I've been here for about 20 years. So I've seen Carahsoft grow from a small company of about 20 people to an enterprise of nearly 4,000. And in that time, we've built a large, diverse team, and we oversee all facets of technology at Carahsoft. So we have software development, network engineers. We've got traditional help desk, and a few other teams supporting the entire effort.
Thanks so much, Michael. One of the things I like most about this partnership is as a customer and a strategic partner on the public sector IT side, Carahsoft uses NinjaOne and therefore is in a unique position to talk about the value and be a strategic partner with their customers in their use of NinjaOne. And so we've actually spent a lot of time together, Michael, talking about how you became a NinjaOne customer and sort of the business realities that Carahsoft was facing when you decided to go out and look for a way to modernize and shift your endpoint management strategy. I'd love to dig into those and learn a little bit about what was going on at Carahsoft at the time that led you to NinjaOne.
Sure. So let me set the table with a few realities about the business, which I suspect are not unique to Carahsoft or to myself. First of all, the distributed workforce. The days of having everybody in one office seem to be long gone. It was particularly accelerated by the pandemic in 2020. Carahsoft has continued to grow in that time, and we now have about 4,000 people across the entire country. That presents a challenge. So we no longer have boots on the ground, or it's not practical or possible to have boots on the ground at every remote location across the country, or perhaps in every house or hotel room where somebody might be working. And as I just mentioned, we've continued to grow in that time. And we've gone from a small company to a fairly large company. And that growth can be at odds or create some challenges in keeping a well-managed system. And then finally, the increasing threats. And if these first two don't ring true with you, I'm sure everyone is seeing this, that there's increasing cyber threats every day. We're all seeing more attacks. The attacks are getting more sophisticated and at times more successful. There's been some really big headlines in the past couple of years, and we would like to keep ourselves out of those headlines.
No CIO wants to be in the headlines for anything related to a cyber threat. I will say this really aligns with my experience at Ninja. When I started, we were about 200 employees. We're about 1,400 today, and the challenges that come with hyper growth that you've experienced at Carahsoft, I think anyone who has gone through that type of hyper growth, I think these will relate to. In addition, obviously, during COVID, the distributed workforce challenge was on the rise across every industry, across every business. And we've seen, post-pandemic, that the distributed workforce requirement has stayed across businesses, even if many organizations have gone back to partial return to work or to more hybrid models. The ability for IT organizations to depend on the office and the office network as their edge no longer is sustainable in most organizations. So going through these realities and these challenges that you were going through, you actually came to Ninja in a little bit different path than many of our customers do. You were actually originally looking to replace your remote support tool, is my understanding. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right.
And so let me set the table. I'll tell how we got here. Like Peter said, remote support was an issue. That was a challenge that we were feeling again from the disbursement of the workforce. We had a system for doing screen shares, so for getting somebody from the IT team to look virtually over your shoulder and help you out if you had a problem, or to help somebody with onboarding. But this did present a few challenges. This was a locally hosted system. It was starting to have some technology challenges that required Java. There's constant updates required. And there's a bit of a dance of getting the user online. So you had to get them to go to a web page. We had a pre-shared key that had to go back and forth. And it was often uh, difficult to coordinate that effort, particularly with somebody who was having trouble with their computer. So the team was asking for a new tool, and we defined a few requirements for what we wanted to replace the old tool with. And we decided that we wanted less user interaction required. We wanted the help desk team to be able to take over that machine with little to no user interaction if possible. And then to alleviate some of the first day problems of onboarding a remote employee for the first time, we wanted access to the screen pre-login. The reason for that is before there was a bit of a dance in getting a first day employee on. They unboxed their new computer. They had to have a call with the help desk, log into a local user account, then get connected to VPN, and then switch users, and then get into their actual account. That way they could have all their passwords set up and get onto the network. And again, that was a lot of steps. There's a costly effort there in the amount of time the help desk was spending on the phone. So it was opportunity cost on both the new employees' time and the help desk, and it created some bottlenecks in getting people on board. If we could get access pre-login, the help desk could take away that sharing of passwords and the local user account to do that dance of getting them on. And then finally, perhaps at odds with that first bullet point of less user interaction, we wanted different classes of users. There's some users that we definitely wanted the user to consent to the action with, perhaps somebody in finance or another sensitive position, to make sure they had a clear desktop before somebody would be, again, virtually looking over their shoulder. We tried a few different systems, and we found some companies could solve maybe one or two of these, but we weren't having luck in getting all of these solved until we met NinjaOne. And suffice to say, we onboarded, we did a demo with NinjaOne, and we were a customer within a few days and had a full deployment, and we're off to the races, alleviating all the problems that we just talked about when we became a NinjaOne customer.
Awesome, Michael. What I heard there were sort of a couple different classes of challenges and outcomes you were looking for. There's definitely an efficiency and effectiveness challenge on the IT side, being able to get in to these remote devices quickly, easily, with minimal end user interaction, minimizing the amount of time that your IT team has to actually do that. So that's on the efficiency side. But then there's also the end user outcome side. And what we're hearing more and more often is from a board or CIO level down, there is a push to improve the end user experience. And that first interaction that a new employee has with IT is so important in setting the relationship between the employee and IT over time. And so being able to deliver a much better onboarding experience, I have to assume that's improved your relationship and your team's relationships with your end users because they're set up, they're ready to go, and they have that great first day technology interaction. Would you agree?
Oh, without a doubt. I think creating that seamless interaction, one gives more confidence in the new user in the IT department. They see that they're able to deftly execute their job and get things done efficiently. So it sends a good message that we take these things seriously here and that we're good at them. Additionally, we're not commandeering users into IT roles and, sort of hopping in, switching accounts, connecting to VPN and doing that dance. That's an IT task, but this may not be an IT user that we onboarded. Perhaps it's a sales user, and you know what they want to do? They want to be on the sales side. So we should spend as much time as we can enabling them to do that and not drafting them to our world.
Or we could just hire sysadmins in all of our sales and finance and marketing roles, and then we're good.
Yeah, that'd be wildly successful, I'm sure.
All right. The next use case that you guys identified once you had rolled out Ninja was patch management. Patch management is something that NinjaOne is well known for. It's something that we've really carved out a space for ourselves in. But this was a challenge that you guys faced, and you were facing some core challenges that you were really trying to overcome with your existing toolkit. Would love for you to dig in there and tell us a little bit about the challenges you were facing and how you overcame them.
Yeah. So, again, we weren't looking to solve this problem, but we quickly saw NinjaOne was much more than a remote screen share solution. So we did have a solution in place, and it had a few challenges or a few idiosyncrasies about it. One, again, it was a locally hosted system, which meant it had some network dependencies. A person had to be connected to VPN for us to push a patch or deploy software on their machine. The system we had some concurrency limits. Specifically, we could deploy 2 jobs at a time, and each of those jobs could push to, I believe it's about 120 machines at a time. If you do quick math, we've got about 4,000 people. So you would have to, complete effectively 40 rounds of those 120 people to deploy an entire job. So it could require a lot of time, and you're sort of held by, again, in a bottleneck because you have that two job concurrency limit there. It also had a complex workflow. We have a different system for scanning for vulnerabilities, and there is a dance of exporting the list of machines for a single vulnerability, bringing it over to the other system, composing a job, adding those machines to the job, and deploying it. And it required a lot of back and forth. There was the limited opportunity, again, caused by the dependence on VPN and the concurrency. Finding the machine that you needed to update online at the right time when you're running the right job became a challenge, which could also lead to being disruptive. Sometimes, if it was a machine that was hard to find and rarely seen, we might be pushing an update without consideration of what that user was doing, disrupting their day. Perhaps they were delivering a webinar and we updated Zoom during it and caused a reboot or something like that. And then lastly, add limited tooling for major updates. And what that led to is the team didn't have a high degree in confidence in the tools they had to remediate a complex situation. So if they were updating a BIOS or updating the operating system on a major version like Windows 10 to 11 that I suspect a lot of people have done in the last year, they didn't have the confidence to execute that remotely. And that usually led to shipping laptops back and forth across the country or getting people into the office for swaps. So we onboarded NinjaOne, and again, we were able to remediate these. It's not locally hosted, it's cloud native. Being cloud native, there's no VPN requirement or any kind of network dependency. So if the machine was online, Ninja could push the job to it. The concurrency limits were a thing of the past. My team can compose any number of jobs, and the right machines will get them and deploy them on their own time. The workflow has gotten significantly better. They're able to fully export not the list of machines for a single vulnerability, but fully export all vulnerabilities for all machines, bring it into NinjaOne, and instantly have all the groups created so they can just deploy the jobs easily from there. The limited opportunity problem is gone because the machine just needs to be online. It doesn't have to be online when I'm awake and at my keyboard deploying a job. The machine will just get the job when it gets online, even if somebody's working at the complete opposite schedule of me. And because of this, we've been able to get smarter and become less disruptive. We can consider the user experience again. So if somebody is doing a task in an application using NinjaOne's flexible tooling, we've written a script to detect if the user is in that application or not. If it's not a critical update, we can defer that update and do it later when the person is no longer in that application. So we're raising the user satisfaction. And again, keeping people doing their job. Again, we're a sales company. We're keeping the sales reps active on their job selling rather than inconveniencing them with IT problems. Lastly, NinjaOne has the tooling my team needs, and they've been able to execute BIOS updates, operating system updates, because they're confident if things do go sideways, they can dig their way out of it. But also the native tooling in NinjaOne, they've been able to script those updates in a set it and forget it workflow where they can execute multiple steps after reboots and have the job continue to execute rather than composing several jobs that each need to occur at the right time, complete that step, and then re-enroll and find another step and so on. So it's been remarkable how much more efficient the patch management team is and how much functionality they've gained.
That's really great to hear. I do want to point out one thing here. If we look at the way you did patch management when Carahsoft was smaller or younger, there's nothing wrong with the way you did patch management then. It was the best fit solution for when you were a smaller company, right? And there's this concept of modernization that we always push around, how do we get better and more efficient as we grow and become more complex? And so um, doing this the way it was done when you first started at Carahsoft made perfect sense for the business needs and the team size and the organization. Then it's only as you had growth and complexity that you ran into these challenges and needed to solve it. And so you went from good to better rather than from a true challenge to the promised land, right? So it's always important to point out the best solution for any company is the solution that fits where you are today and or where you're going rather than pushing for a solution just because it exists. So it's always good to point out that what's best for a company is what's best for it in the moment. Um, Great walkthrough, thank you. I actually want to dig into this overall story that you just told because I think it aligns really well with this concept of autonomous patch management that Ninja and others have really embraced. And it's this concept of going from vulnerability identification through remediation in the patch cycle as low touch as possible while taking into account both the balanced need of security risk and operational risk. As you said, we don't want to interrupt end users. We don't want to stop them from being productive and satisfied, but we want to get from vulnerable to not vulnerable as quickly as possible. And so this is that autonomous patching cycle where you go from update detection or vulnerability identification through the identification of the remediation steps required to remediate those vulnerabilities to actually making sure that when you roll it out, you're not going to have a negative impact in your environment, controlling for your risk appetite based on that analysis, and then actually running through the patch cycle and using feedback from that patch cycle to continuously control for risk and accelerate deployment. And so I'd love to walk through that very briefly on how NinjaOne does this, because I think we do it in a really unique way. So the first is Ninja's patch scanning engine natively provides some vulnerability data. We also partner with and integrate with all of the major leading vulnerability scanning tools out there in the market today. You can automatically pull vulnerability data in from those third-party providers, and that gets you your update detection. Something needs to happen here. So we identify a patch or they identify a vulnerability. You now know that there's a problem, right? Our patch engine will help you identify what those steps are, as will those third-party vulnerability scanning tools. And then what we can do is we can use our patch intelligence AI capability to do an external analysis on those patches. So this is a relatively new feature in NinjaOne. It's a relatively unique feature for NinjaOne. And what it does is it goes out to key sources in the market and says, what is the likelihood that this patch will cause instability in your environment? And it's going to give you a gradation of this is probably okay to roll out. There are known issues, or caution, like don't roll this out. This is going to break your environment. That gives you a really good sense of how comfortable you can be with rolling out this patch. We also have the ability to not install patches based on that risk appetite. So we can continue on in our patch cycle and just pull out those risky patches that may cause challenges in your environment. Now, one of the great things about the external analysis is it's not just going to tell you that there's a potential problem, it's going to tell you what that problem is and what it relates to. So you can go and read and understand that analysis and say, that doesn't apply to my environment, and I can let that go through. Or if it does, you can manually set it to not deploy right away. So that gives you the ability to really be hands off with your risk appetite, but then also dig in and start that analysis and move things forward. So then we start deploying our patches. We have a very robust patch automation engine. Once patches start rolling out, though, we can actually look in your specific environment and see if there are failures on patches. and then include that in that same internal analysis. And so if there's something unique in your environment, whether it be the applications or setup or configuration of your devices, we can include that an analysis at that level beside the external analysis and take that AI driven patch exclusion back into account. So if we're seeing large scale failure or some level of failure in your environment, we can then kick those patches out. You can then go from identification to remediation in a patch cycle um, close to zero touch, and only the problem or potential problem patches are pulled out. That can dramatically accelerate the time from identification to remediation, dramatically reduce the amount of time you spend on patching, and ensure that your team, when they are spending time on patching, it's only those issues or only those patches that are likely to cause issues. So you can balance that speed you need to get not vulnerable quicker and the end user experience and operational risk because you're not interrupting end users, causing challenges on their endpoints, et cetera. And so, Michael, your team is very well on the path to fully automating your patching and dramatically reducing the time on patching. This is how Ninja looks at it, and we'd love to talk to you guys about what that looks like. So I think we can go. Any thoughts on autonomous patch, Michael?
Yeah, this is really exciting because it looks like it's really going to accelerate and streamline the team. These are things they're doing, but this is enabling them to be smarter and more efficient. And anytime you do that, hey, you're increasing job satisfaction and increasing productivity. Um, and then particularly it's not just making these decisions based off what it sees in the wild, but based on what it sees in my environment. It gives me kind of the good feels that it's going to serve us well. So looking forward to all the gains that we should see from this.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Actually, I do want to, something I didn't mention is part of our philosophy with AI is we don't want a black box of AI taking action in your environment and, for example, deploying things. So this is actually only allowed to stop or exclude patches from going out because we're not at a point yet where we're super comfortable giving AI black box kind of the keys to the kingdom. So this is very much a risk reduction and, more automation capability rather than, AI, go manage my endpoints. So we're super excited to see where this goes, and we're seeing some great feedback from our customers today. I'd love to jump onto your next use case, which was really around risk reduction, resilience, risk reduction, helping ensure that you don't end up on the front of the New York Times or some other magazine for a breach. It's super critical to the value NinjaOne brings to our customers. I'd love to hear how you all were approaching risk reduction.
Sure. So every story I've told prior to now we've talked about efficiency. We've talked about how we made people's jobs better and kept people doing their specific task. But there's a risk reduction story here as well. So when we were talking about deploying a new user, we had that local user account on every laptop here with a pre-shared password. We're able to remove that account. That's a open window that's shut on every laptop. So we've lowered our risk profile there, removing that. The old patched and software deployment system we had, again, it required VPN because it needed file sharing on. It needed to push files to every laptop. It had the admin $C share open for any of the nerds on the call. We're able to close that off because Ninja's an agent-based approach. So it's pulling the updates down from the cloud. And because of that, not only did we close that share on every laptop, we have no open inbound management on any of our laptops. We have a full deny all policy on every laptop's firewall. No WMI, WinRM, or any other way into a laptop. So our laptops, again, a slimmer profile. They're getting tighter and tighter managed, and hopefully we're getting them configured as secure as they can possibly be. And then finally, again, with Ninja's flexibility and the fact that it just needs to see a machine online to push something to it, to push a command to it, we've written some scripts that we can mitigate a rogue user or device. If there's a device on the network that we consider risky or untrusted for some reason, we can easily deploy a script to it. The team calls it the nuke script, but we remove the password hash from the computer, we can remove a BitLocker key from it and turn that computer into nothing more than a paperweight. So if there's a reason we want that computer disconnected from our network, very easy to do. Again, just removing risk from our profile.
We've seen more and more a shift or a shift where IT and IT operations are taking on more of these cyber hygiene activities where, the cybersecurity team obviously owns your EPP product and your really hardcore cybersecurity tools. But IT operations teams are taking on more and more around cyber hygiene and cyber resilience, particularly around secure configuration. And so it's really great to see some real world examples of that in practice that make a difference. Um, I think our last use case here is around inventory. So you can't manage and you can't secure. Oh, there's two more actually. Sorry. You can't manage and you can't secure what you can't see, right? And so having a live real-time inventory of all of your devices is hypercritical to the functioning of any IT org. I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so one of the next big benefits we got from NinjaOne, which again was not something we sought out to do with it when we became a customer, was inventory management. We quickly saw that Ninja was a good record of truth for our hardware and software. It was a reliable inventory to see what machines were out there, what was in production, but also who owned it. There's no kind of cross-looking up, correlating a machine with a person, but very easy to see in the interface what machine was operated by what person, and quickly you can deduce where that machine was. Was it in the building? Was it on VPN? Was it in California or somewhere else? Um, and then on that, we can see every piece of software on that machine. So very easy to manage our licenses to make sure if there's any software that we are discontinuing use of, find it, remove it. If there's new software we're deploying, again, very easy to get it out there and find who doesn't have it yet. We're also able to get alerts on new installations of software. So if somebody was able to kind of leave our baseline and maybe get software we didn't intend for them, we can get an alert on that package and again remediate it if necessary. But also very good to know exactly what's on every machine, the who, what, when, where, etc. So it's been a great tool for managing that for us.
Awesome. I think we have one last use case here, and I'm actually going to call out. There is a question about image deployment in chat, and I think we're going to answer that next. And so, when we go back to the earlier conversation around onboarding new end users, the question comes up about imaging. You get a new device, you want to make sure that you have it fully configured and set up for the end user ahead of time. How are you handling new device setup before and now that you have Ninja?
Sure. So this slide here sets the table for how we were doing it. We were using MDT. I feel like a broken record, but again, it was a locally hosted server. We maintained a couple golden images. We have 4,000 people at Carahsoft, but we maintained about two golden images, sort of two best fit images. And then from there, we would hand jam the software if you had a specific role, get you the software you need, or maybe pull some software off you didn't need. Those golden images, we had to rebuild them probably monthly to stay on top of all the latest updates. And sometimes if we got a large shipment of laptops in, got ahead of schedule and deployed the image to all of them, they might get stale on the shelf. And it was a multi-step process. So we'd get a whole bunch of laptops in, unbox them, image them, box them back up, ship them out to a new user, and then go engage in that dance of getting a remote user on board that I talked about before. We found that NinjaOne was such a great tool for deploying software, but also we're able to build profiles, not for one or two jobs here at Carahsoft, but every job at Carahsoft. So we changed our paradigm, and what we do now is we enroll new machines into Azure and join them to our tenant, and we can ship out the machine like that. An unboxed machine, ship it out to somebody, they log in, NinjaOne will detect who's logged in and deploy all of the software they need from there. So we're just deploying the NinjaOne agent from Intune, and Ninja carries it from there. So this is exciting because we're no longer doing that entire routine with IT unboxing, reboxing, and maintaining these images, which was an unenviable task that nobody liked building that image month after month. But instead, it's become much more of a set and forget it. They can deploy the software, Ninja's keeping the latest versions of the software, so they always get the latest install. Um, and I'm excited about the future of this because this could also lead to a reduction, one, of the real estate. I probably don't need to keep so many machines on site anymore because I think we could probably start drop shipping machines direct from a manufacturer to an end user, get it enrolled into Intune and have it fully deployed. So no more redundant shipping costs. That'll lower the environmental impact of shipping. And then again, use the floor space here for something other than storing hundreds of laptops.
I feel like OS deployment and new device setup is such a shockingly hot topic for 2025. It comes up in so many of the conversations I have with customers at every level. It's obviously a lot of work and a lot of manual labor if you haven't automated it. And I think an area that NinjaOne does well is exactly what you said. If you're able to build out a policy structure that allows for personalization at scale, it allows you to move from a much more static and manual process to a much more personalized, automated process with actual better outcomes and less work, which is you rarely get the 1-2 punch of both. Um, I think that's our last use case. I'd love to dig in really to the business outcomes for Carahsoft. You rolled Ninja out. How long have you been a customer, Michael? A year? 1 year?
About 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. You rolled Ninja out 2.5 years ago. I would love to just hear a little bit about yeah, the business outcomes and what you've seen.
Sure. So so I think the outcomes and the advantages we're getting from Ninja fall into a couple buckets here. And first of all, I really like the flexibility of NinjaOne. This is I'll describe it as a platform. It's a platform for my team to go and use as they see fit. This is not a product that we're going in and figuring out how we can accommodate it, but rather it's able to adjust to the size and shape of Carahsoft and how we do things. It has a lot of customizations available, and it's again, it's not forcing us into somebody else's paradigm. So it's worked really well here, which is why we've adapted it for so many different use cases here, far beyond what we originally intended to. Number two, I really like the scalability of it. So I've talked a lot about how we've made people more efficient today and how we make the IT job easier and we're keeping salespeople selling. But what I'm particularly proud of, we have over 4,000 devices here. I have a patch management team of 2 people, and they're often so far ahead of things that they're looking for more work to do, that they ask for other projects. Again, we have 4,000 people. I have an IT help desk team of 8 individuals. So we have a 500-to-1 ratio. I think, Peter, you may know the industry average. I've heard numbers between 75 to 150-to-1 is typical. So it's fair to say we're doing a little better than that. And again, we couldn't do that without being well managed and without having good tooling. And NinjaOne is one of the key tools in how we do that. It enables our help desk guys to have shorter interactions with people when they need to. They're able to do more behind the scenes, and they're able to just get the job done quicker. They can be in multiple places at one time with good tools like NinjaOne. Again, I've talked a lot about the human side of it, of how we made jobs better, how we made people faster, smarter, more efficient. But every single use case I gave today, we also increased our security profile. We've had risk reduction across the board. Our laptops are kept more up to date. Our firewalls are more hardened than ever. But Peter, isn't security always at odds with usability? What's going on here? How did we achieve both here? This is a rare time that we've defeated that law of computing, that security has to make everyone's job harder. But we're doing a good job of making everybody's job better. And then lastly, what I really, really like about NinjaOne is what's next. We came in as a remote support to, screen share customer, and we've received so many more benefits than we ever intended to. Today, Peter talked about autonomous patch management. That's new. This summer, NinjaOne announced their iOS MDM. We plan on deploying that here. So it's really cool to see a product that's continuing to evolve and offer us more and more services. So we're very excited. Perhaps if I tell the story next year, I'll have a lot more, several more sides of big wins we've gotten from it.
We'll look forward to that. And that 500 to 1 is incredibly impressive. I would make sure we don't say the names of your technicians, or they might be getting a few phone calls from other IT leaders on the call today. Thank you so much for walking through that, Michael. For everyone on the call, we're going to go into a Q&A in just a few minutes. I do want to run through just a couple slides on my end for those of you who are not existing NinjaOne customers to really dig in and explain the breadth of the platform. But we will open it up for a Q&A with Michael, and we'll dig through those in just a minute. So I'll go quick. So at Ninja, we really believe that you as our partner deserve better endpoint management. That's really our goal, is to bring you a platform and tool set that allow you to get done the things that you need to do across service delivery, across security, across systems administration, whatever it may be. We want to be that platform for you, and we want to be your trusted partner in doing that. We believe in bringing great technology, but also great people, great support, and great partnership to our partners. Um, if you go and you do your research on NinjaOne, you'll see that we are regularly rated 4.5. Well, 4.5 would be low for us. 4.9, 5 stars across review sites. And those are real customers who are giving feedback about what NinjaOne does across Gartner, G2, other sites as well. Because Michael is here and we're partnering with Carahsoft, I did want to call out our public sector business as well. We've got about 1,400 public sector customers. We just announced our GovRamp authorization, and we're in process on the FedRAMP side, so we can support both state, local, and federal customers. And we've got about 30,000 customers globally, across 130 countries. So we're here to help make you successful and partner with you, whether you're in the public sector, whether you're an MSP, or whether you're an enterprise. And would love to talk more with you about it. I will take just a second. I know we have a broader audience than just public sector here, but I will take just a minute because it's brand new. We did just achieve GovRamp authorization, which means we are better able to bring to you a secure platform that supports the compliance needs of our public sector partners across all of our use cases today. So, we would love if you are in the public sector and you're interested in an endpoint management solution to reach out to us or to Carahsoft as well. We have a slide. I can talk about that in a minute. For those public sector customers of ours, we really do lean into the challenges that you face today. So we are going to help you unify endpoint management across all of your device types, whether it be Windows, Mac, or Linux devices, whether it be servers or laptops, whether it be mobile devices. We're going to give you full control over all of your devices, wherever they are in one platform, which can really drive that efficiency and visibility. We are going to help you drive that cyber hygiene and resilience conversation by helping you automate security and compliance. Michael talked a lot about efficiency today, but we also think that there's a really strong total cost of ownership argument here, particularly as you consolidate tools. On average, our customers are replacing 4 tools when they move to NinjaOne. So we can help with reducing costs there. And then last, Michael already shared this, and listen to him, not to me, but that scalability really does matter. We will grow with you, no matter what your size is. We're here to help you grow and achieve what you need to in a complex environment. The NinjaOne platform helps you automate the hardest parts of IT. We're focused on 3 core pillars: managing every endpoint, no matter where it is, protecting those endpoints, not from a cyber hygiene and resilience perspective, but also backing up the data on it so you can always make sure that you can recover in case of any cyber threat. And last, we want to help you drive phenomenal support into your customers if you're an MSP, or into your end users if you're a service management organization within IT. So those are the 3 pillars of what we bring to you and where our core product areas are. So if you're looking to improve the management of your devices, drive that cyber hygiene, and improve support for your end users, NinjaOne is a good fit for you. We do cover all real form factors and operating systems, and it's all built on this platform, as Michael said. It's not just a tool. This is a platform that will help you move across use cases in the IT and security space. And we now have our AI capability around patch intelligence. So let's talk next steps and then we'll get into Q&A. If you want to learn more about the work Michael's done, we do have a case study with Carahsoft. You can go ahead and see that at ninjaone.com, customer stories, Carahsoft, and kind of hear more from him on what they've done at Carahsoft. If you are a Carahsoft customer or if you are a public sector company and you're interested in NinjaOne, reach out to Carahsoft at carahsoft.com/NinjaOne. They are our strategic partner for the public sector, and we'd love for you to work with them and work with us. And if you're interested in learning more and getting your hands on the product, because if you're anything like me, yeah, I want to get my hands on the product and understand it and feel how it works in my environment, you can start your free trial today. So with that, let's jump over to the Q&A, and I will do as much as I can to make sure Michael does all the talking. All right. Q&A, there we go. Well, this is an easy one. Michael, Jeffrey wants to know if they can buy NinjaOne through Carahsoft. Is there Omnia Partners cost reductions? That might not be the best question for you, but I'm going to pitch it your way anyway.
Yeah, you can buy it from us. Unfortunately, I'm a practitioner of IT, not a seller of it. So I'm not well versed enough to speak intelligently on the contract side. If you reach out to our NinjaOne team, uh, we can make sure we get you those answers. Sorry, I can't give you more detail than that.
I prefer that answer because it shows you are a true practitioner. Jeremy asked, how long should it take for full integration from day one? Days, weeks, months? I'd love to hear your experience, Michael, and then I'll share mine as well.
So we were able to deploy incredibly fast. We uh, we onboarded, signed a contract, and deployed largely within a day or two. We used our legacy system that needed the VPN availability, and really it just took us, a day or two to find every laptop once it was connected and get the NinjaOne agent put on, and we were off to the races from there. And we were able to shut down the old servers. So for us, it was a very, very easy, very seamless deployment.
I would say that's faster, but very common with what we hear from customers. Generally, the average, we've done some surveying around this, is we see customers go from nothing to fully deployed in under 30 days on average, with technicians really taking a week or 2 weeks to be highly competent in the platform. Now, that does depend on your use case, right? If you're trying to boil the ocean and do everything Ninja can do as fast as possible, that may take longer to roll out because there's so much that you can build and do. But if you're looking to solve individual use cases, for example, if you're trying to move over your patching process to Ninja, it can be done easily that quickly. What I will say is a conversation Michael and I actually have on a semi-regular basis is what's new in Ninja and how can we use it? And that will go on forever. And so there's always more to learn, always more to do. And I don't know that there's ever such a thing as done with Ninja, but it can be in and providing value, in under 30 days.
Yeah, I should qualify my answer is we had the NinjaOne agent push throughout the company and had our team solving the original mission, which was the remote screen share within a day or two. But from there, it was a continuous work in progress of getting all the patch management jobs configured, and we've continued to increase our usage every month. So, a day or two to get a foot in the door, and hopefully we never stop increasing that footprint.
Awesome. I've got another question here around MDM. This is a specific one. I'll take this one. With MDM through NinjaOne, how does it integrate with M365 Access for access control? So NinjaOne MDM, we have iOS, Android OS, and Mac OS MDM. The Mac OS MDM works alongside our agent-based Mac solution. As of today, we do not integrate for access control. That said, that is on our roadmap to build out. Our MDM product is about a year old. I think it's actually a year and a month or something like that old. And so there's lots of roadmap left for us to build, but access control is on it. Right now, we're primarily focused on, device management, inventory, patching, remote access to mobile devices, and those both security and support workflows. Access control is, we've heard it many times, that is a requirement, and it is on our list. Let's see. I'm trying to go through as they come in. David Wanderer asked, would be great to see examples of patching policies and how you manage users that require a reboot. How do you guys handle that, Michael?
It depends on the criticality, but we're able to we can detect if a computer is requiring a reboot. So we can schedule that, and we can often schedule that for when the person's away or off hours. I'm not sure if I'm answering exactly what the person's asking though. Um,
Well, let's ask them. David, did that answer your question for Michael? Oh, and Marcel's actually asking for some examples of patching and schedules. So David and Marcel, we actually have a couple recorded webinars, and I think we have a couple resources we can send out to you. In general, I'd actually love to talk about policies for a minute and how they work in Ninja because it will be helpful to explain this. um, Policies, when done right in Ninja, take a parent-child relationship. And after I'm done, Michael, I'd love to hear from you on this as well in your experience. But done well, you have parent and child policies where you do as much work as possible in the parent, and then it waterfalls down to child relationships. So in the onboarding use case that Michael had highlighted, if I'm personalizing at scale, I might have a parent new user policy, and then each child policy for each role might have different applications that are deployed. And so as I make changes and improvements to the parent policy, they waterfall down. Similar on the patch side, if you bring best practices to that parent policy for patching, you can make different customizations. So, for example, we have different requirements on reboot times for people who are in the sales org than for people who are in the, let's say, finance or FP&A org, right? If I'm on a sales call and my computer reboots, NinjaOne loses business. So we want to make sure we don't do that. So a lot of patching best practices around making sure that your end user experience is positive, making sure that you're accelerating patch deployment as much as possible, as much as makes sense in your business, and then using that parent-child relationship to be as efficient as possible. Any thoughts there, Michael?
No, I think that hits it nail on the head. It's largely how we do it. We have a global machine baseline for the characteristics that all of our machines have, and then the different sort of department ones from there. And then as far as the profiles go and patching the critical ones and particularly stale critical ones, we may be more aggressive about it, but we really do try to focus on the end user experience and you know, not interrupt somebody at critical moments. So we're able to detect if a machine is occupied, logged into, if they're actively using it, or if it's been on screensaver. And we try to use those things to prioritize and do the patching. So our goal is to really never interrupt somebody during a business critical moment.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I actually have a specific question for how Carahsoft does something. Are you adding your workstations to your domain post Intune Ninja install? They're mainly wondering how those devices are interacting with the servers if they aren't on the domain.
So the we're hybrid join Azure AD. So we enroll them into the tenant, and then Intune deploys the NinjaOne agent, and also does the hybrid domain join. If you want the specific mechanics of that, we're gonna expose me right now. So I don't know. I couldn't walk you through the exact script, but I've got engineers on my team who could. And if you know, Peter, I think we'd be happy to write an article if we don't have a good one out there already that we could share on how to get that done.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. There was a follow-up from Evan on MDM. I'll take this one. Can Ninja and Intune MDM both be on the same device? So pretty much every OS allows for one mobile device management profile per device. So on Windows and Mac, our agent-based solution can be alongside the an Intune profile-based managed option. For iOS, Android, it would be either or. There is a an upcoming capability that will allow Ninja to work more seamlessly with Intune that we'll be excited to announce later this year. But for now, it would be agent-based management alongside Intune for those using Intune. Um, all right. I would like to know how you deploy the PPPC profiles since you mentioned you fixed this for remote access. I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means, Michael?
PPPC. No,
Okay. I'm going to
can
skip
we
that
spell
one.
that out? Yeah.
Gabino, if you have a clarification on what PPPC profiles means, we can circle back on that one. Michael, how many Macs do you have as part of your 4,000 employees?
Very few. We're predominantly a Windows workstation environment. I think in a few specific roles we've got Macs, less than a dozen, perhaps less than five.
That makes life a little bit easier. I have a question actually that's been reinforced by a couple of people. Going back to patching, how do you handle people that keep deferring a reboot? Sometimes after hours, it's not possible if the PC is shut down. I can speak to the mechanism in Ninja, but I'd love to hear how you handle it, Michael.
Yeah, I suppose in that case, it's how do you herd cats, which is famously easy, right? Um, but trying to avoid doing it during business hours. You know, it, there's different strategies we've used from, picking up a phone and calling the person, asking them to schedule it. Um, Otherwise, doing it in the off hours or finding the moment. If it is something extremely critical, at some point you do have to make the call of, hey, our cybersecurity does need to override a person's comfort. So we will unfortunately disturb somebody if necessary when we have to. But again, our goal is to not do that. We do have we've got a great workforce here who does appreciate and understand these issues, and they're generally pretty cooperative with us. Um, for a long time, we've tried to teach the practice of shut your machine down, do some basic maintenance like that, rather than defaulting to sleep or leaving your machine on indefinitely.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Spencer did respond to this, and I'm actually just going to use his comment here. In Ninja, there is a mechanism to set a max number of deferrals. So that's one option. It can be a little heavy-handed, but it also is a great way to ensure that it does happen. If you decide not to go that route using Ninja, you can do forced reboots, on a cadence on weekends, for example, outside the patching cycle. So there are other mechanisms to allow for that, but it really depends on your workforce and how you balance that security and operations outcome. Um, it sounds like another person, Brandon, has said they set up they are set up to remind the user every hour and force a shutdown at 6 p.m. local. So again, they're finding another mechanism to do this. All right, let's see what else I have here. With WSUS being deprecated, can Ninja keep track of and push out all Patch Tuesday window patches? So Ninja can replace WSUS, so we do it on a regular basis. We are able to, so when we do a patch scan, regardless of what your vulnerability scanner says, we are going to identify all available patches on any given device. And then based on the patching policy, that will decide what gets approved and what gets rejected and what gets essentially put in a bucket called manual. And so we can scan those devices, all devices that are available, identify all outstanding patches, both on the operating system and across, I think it's 6,000 third-party applications, and then deploy those out based on schedule and based on your configuration. So we do replace WSUS on a regular basis, and I'd encourage you to hop into Ninja and check out what patching looks like. We have some very helpful people who are explaining what PPPC is, but you're not a Mac guy, and so this may not be helpful. PPPC profiles are privacy preference policy control profiles on Mac OS that allow IT admins to control app access to sensitive user data. I actually think I can answer this. You need MDM to be able to do this. You cannot use an agent-based solution to change PPPC profiles. You need to use MDM. It's actually one of the number one reasons we built our Mac MDM on top of our agent-based management. That and Mac patching are the two big reasons. So if you want to give, for example, screen share the ability to take control, you need to change profile settings. So if you use NinjaOne's Mac MDM capabilities, you can make configuration changes like that. With that, we've got 4 minutes left. Let me see if there's any questions I've missed. I don't think I've seen any. I think we're good on time. In that case, I think we can wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Michael, thank you again so much for your time. I learned a lot. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope everyone who joined us has learned a lot. If you do have any questions, anyone on the line, feel free to reach out to us. Please do reach out to Carahsoft if you either currently procure through Carahsoft or are interested in doing so. If not, you can reach out directly to NinjaOne. And thank you again and have a great day.
Thank you.